Hey, my video didn't record, so we're gonna do another one. Okay, so today's video is about compromise. Okay, so let's get it right. Um, there's just a level of compromise that you need in your life. There's a level of compromise in all facets of your life. Okay, whether that's yeah, and I think two good examples is when you're really passionate about something and when you're very lazy about something. You got to strike a balance, right? So when you're passionate about something, what do? Right? You put your head down, you work hard, you do this, blah, 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 blah. You don't ask for help, right? You don't ask for directions. You don't let people assist you, and it's just you, right? Because you want to do good. You want to, you know, um, achieve your goals, right? But when you're neglectful of a situation, when you don't care about something as much, what do? You pass it on to someone else. You shift the responsibility to someone else. You don't care about it. Um, and I think it's like that's a prime example of where you need to compromise in your life. I think another place is relationships, right? You need to compromise in your relationships with people. When you compromise with people, um, you get what you want. And what is a relationship if not compromise, right? What builds a relationship first and foremost? Communication, okay? But what is communication when we really break it down? It's compromise. You're finding common ground and you're working towards a common goal. That's what compromise is. You got to compromise in all areas of your life, from family to relationship, to shorty. Like you got to compromise, right? You got to compromise with the dog. He wanna get up and go to the dog park at 7 a.m. You got to compromise, and it's important to make smart compromises, and it's important to never compromise your self worth. It's important to never compromise your self worth. You should always compromise with someone up until they themselves are demanding that you compromise your self worth. You say no, no. You say no. I don't want to do this. This is a bad deal. This is a bad deal. I don't want this. And then they just go away. Okay, that's just how it works. You say no, and they go away. And there are some people that cannot be compromised with. It does not even occur to them. They don't even understand the term compromise. And in that case, I think the best way to handle that situation is to just ignore them. Just ignore them. Walk away. There's nothing left. There's nothing left for you there. There's no compromise left on the table. Not even a crumb. They ate the whole pie. Okay, there's nothing. So just walk away. Walk away with your self-respect and don't compromise, right? Of course, you can always compromise, but it's going to cost you your self-worth. And in a sense, we always, I guess, in a sense, you always kind of do compromise your self-worth because there's always going to be something you don't actually want to do, right? You don't actually want to do. But that is what compromise is. Oh my God, that is what compromise is. It's doing something you don't want to do. That's compromise. Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's important to compromise, but never compromise to the point where you realize you're doing something for other people. Wow. You're doing something for other people that you actually don't want to do. You actually don't want to do. Because what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You really need to ask yourself, what are you doing? And like I said, a relationship, especially in relationships, right? It's always important to compromise. It's always important to work together. But like I said, you can never allow the compromise to be something where not just you, obviously you are satisfied, but I think both people are satisfied because otherwise, again, what are you doing? What's the point, right? What's the point? And I think the most important thing, and the most important point of this video is compromising with the self. You need to learn to compromise with yourself, right? What are your priorities? What are your goals? What are your What are your values that you hold dear? Because, you might have, for example, a really fancy job that you care about, but you cannot begin to compromise on arguably much more important things, like your health, like your family. I mean, to a degree, you can spend less time with your family. You can spend less time in the gym, but there's just certain necessities you need to take care of, right? And it's like you can only compromise so much. And there's a balance. Like, at the end of the day, there is a balance. And I think that's what's important. You need to ask yourself, why am I compromising so much on something? Because oftentimes that thing is very, very important. That job, it's paying your bills. It's keeping you alive. But do you actually need it? Do you actually need that job? Right? Do you actually need that job? Or could you find another job that's perhaps less stressful and requires less compromise? Right? It's all about choices, but it's also about compromise. Okay? It's about compromise. And yeah, I think that's the foundation of relationships. That's the foundation of a relationship with yourself. It's through understanding, prioritization, and compromise. And compromise shows itself everywhere. Compromise with the chick that's making your Wendy's order. She might throw a little McNugget sauce in there. You never know what you're gonna get, right? So it's always important to compromise, and it's always important to see somebody else's perspective on what they want, right? Because that's the beginning of a compromise. It's seeing, okay, what does this person actually want, right? And am I willing to fulfill it? And that's something important that you should ask yourself. What do I actually want? And am I willing to compromise on this? And I think when the answer is yes, when you sit down and you really have an honest conversation with yourself, then you ask yourself, what am I truly willing to compromise for this? You begin to find sort of a path towards your goals in a way. I really do think so. You begin to find a path towards your goals because you now start to prioritize, okay, this is at the very top. What am I willing to sacrifice? And what am I willing to compromise for this thing at the top? Am I willing to sacrifice this? Yeah, well then it's below it. Am I willing to sacrifice that? No. Then now this becomes the priority, and this is the thing that I need to compromise for. And I think that's a very important thing. It's a very important thing to keep in mind. That's a very important thing to keep in mind when you're in the Wendy's queue. Compromise. So that's all it is, man. That's all it is. Compromise. So thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. Take care.